Satsang-100, the Supreme State, 31st October, 1935, Evening Satsang. I am here telling you about devotion after liberation. To be Brahman is liberation. Brahman is our birth name, and devotion means to sing in praise of God and Guru as bhajan and kirtan. The one whom we calling by the name of Mr. So-and-so is himself now Brahman, and his spouse is Lakshmi. Now all of his actions, including his breathing, are those of God. Action cannot take place without him. When you know that you are Brahman, all actions are of the nature of Brahman. Some people are professing the propriety of active life after self-knowledge and go about in society, obviously mistaken in their understanding. They behave like an ignorant, foolish person in order to teach people, but this is not right. A man of self-knowledge must behave as he is. If he goes around acting like an ignorant person, how can he be a wise man? How did the great men of wisdom like Lord Rama and Krishna lead their lives, and why did they do so? How did the other great masters behave? Whose behavior was truly proper and whose behavior was useful to all? The one with self-knowledge must think over this. Behave as God, with the qualities of God. For example, in order to make his spiritual state known to others, a man could cut off his arm, but in doing so there is the pride that I have cut my arm. This is not the way of surrendering the ego. The way of surrendering the ego is the very understanding that I am nobody. When you know this, the ego is gone. Some people arrange for a car to drive over their body in order to show that they are nobody and that they are renunciates, but that is also ego. When you purposefully behave like an eccentric, it is still ego. There is the ego that you have done something extraordinary. One who does not act in a peculiar way, but acts very naturally, is the man of true knowledge. However, this path is only known through the instructions given by the Sadguru. The ego cannot be cut away with a weapon. No matter how hard one tries, it cannot be cut away. It is only through understanding that it goes. For the ego is a myth. When you know its nature, the ego disappears. That is the way of ego dissolution. Everything belongs to God. There is nothing of mine, or even any I there. Is it right to behave like a madman in order to guide others? professing that you are functioning in society after attaining self-knowledge? No, this is never appropriate. Should elder children, while teaching younger ones, themselves become younger children? Why would one leave wisdom and become ignorant? It is true that God alone does everything. The concept that the work that God does and the work that we do are different is a wrong concept. It is also unwise to think that we should worship God and thereby God takes pity on us. For really, everything is only God, and He acts of His own accord and provokes action. It is He who makes all things happen. God cannot tolerate the sense of duality, or that we are separate from Him. The one who is wise alone knows the true religion. People say many things, such as we have bathed God and fed God. We must not eat anything before we have done this. Or they say we are not to touch anybody or anything. But is there anything or any article that is not touched by God? Who is it that the impurity of touching something affects? There is no other except God. Everything is done by God Himself. It is only He who eats and dines. Who else eats? If someone bows down at the feet of a saint, people ask him, "Why do you allow this prostration?" The saint replies, "You see, I am only God. These people will be liberated if they bow to me. That is not an obligation on me. Their sins are washed away, and they are emancipated." Who is it that makes the people bow down? Only God can do it. Nobody gives salutations to anybody without reason. He is not God only because you bow down to Him. He is God, and it is He that eats and drinks. If God is given a betel leaf, it is not given to a man. To know that it is given to God is the devotion after liberation. When you become God, you act as God. Should you act like a ghost? One who behaves like God is God. One whose actions are like a sage is a sage. One who behaves like the great people of old is called an incarnation of that particular one. If he acts like God, he is the incarnation of God. If he acts like Tukaram, he is Tukaram's incarnation. If one acts like God after liberation, he is God. Those who are called true incarnations have acted like Atman. One who is truthful tells his true name. As Krishna was sure that he is God, he constantly said that he is God. Even from his childhood, he started saying that he was God. Now you have to be told that you are God, but you are ashamed to call yourself God. One should behave the way that he is. One should live in the light of this understanding. This ensures that the doer is absent. You are not the doer of any actions. Having enjoyed all pleasures, I am free of the sense of being the enjoyer. I remain free even after creation, sustenance, and dissolution of the worlds. One who does not know this yoga, this truth of unity, suffers sorrow. What is given here is the unending yoga, the Maha Yoga. This yoga is never lost. One who knows this yoga is the happy man. Lord Shiva, as Atman, knows this yoga. Others also say that they have understood yoga, but theirs is not this Maha Yoga. This state of consciousness was fully imbibed by Uddhava, who said, I have come upon this mysterious secret path that only a true guru can show. Both Uddhava and Lord Krishna were of one heart, one mind. Uddhava got the great gift of devotion, the great key. What Lord Krishna already knew in his heart, Uddhava came to know. He understood the proper state of the self. He understood that the true nature of the self, the very being of the self, is pure. There is nothing mixed with it. It is Atman who attains the highest realization of his own self, his primordial being. That is called the Supreme Self, Param Atman, or Atma Ram, Self as God. And Uddhava attained that.